this video, I'm going to explain why I'm a free speech absolutist and why you should be too, but furthermore, why we as citizens should be weary of censorship of any form of free speech. Now, the first main reason is the danger of the precedent that it sets. When we take one piece of information or one piece of an opinion and we set censorship on it, what this does is it sets a precedent for then this to be applied to other pieces of information or opinions. And when dealing with rulership, a ruler who has precedent to then create a foundation of censorship, of scrutiny against themselves, then can enact tyranny. And this is the exact reason why the First Amendment was put in place to begin with, is because our founding fathers understood the value of us as a free people to have freedom of speech, freedom of opinion. Now, anyone in charge who wants to create a punishment for scrutiny against themselves is not a leader, but a ruler. And as a free people, we want leaders who are willing and able to be accountable to their performance and their actions. So again, once we create precedents to establish censorship on opinions, it creates a dangerous potential for there to be a snowball effect that could lead to tyranny. Now, we as citizens should also be wary of platforms such as YouTube that look to censor certain opinions or pieces of information. And we should be wary of this because with free speech, there is always the opportunity for an opposing side to create an argument to dismantle a certain view that people may not agree with or like. Anything that is true and good should be able to stand on its own merit with its own pieces of information to support the validity of its goodness and its truth. But when we start censoring certain opinions or certain sides of an argument, it allows for fascism and tyranny. So anything that can be compared to misinformation or name-calling should be allowed under free speech because other free people have the opportunity to dismantle those opinions or those arguments around certain pieces of information. And this leads to the second reason as to why free speech absolutists is what we all should be striving to be, because it can lead, once we start censoring certain pieces of information, a susceptibleness of the free people to be led astray by the established voices, established media, or established government. And we just experienced this here in the United States of America just a few years ago with COVID. Now, what happened with COVID? There were extreme amounts of censorship placed on opposing views, opposing the vaccine. And what we should really take away from this in an understanding is that people who were opposing the vaccine ended up losing jobs, losing friendships, all over a opinion to reserve their right to not get the vaccine. And what it actually came from this is we understood that the COVID vaccine was a failed vaccine that did not grant immunity. And for those who didn't want to get the vaccine, they should not have been subject to the peer pressure, the scrutiny, and losing their jobs and destroying their livelihoods from holding an opinion. An opinion that was in fact more accurate to the truth, because the reality is the vaccine did not grant immunity. And so those who held that view should not have been censored on social media platforms. And just the general reality around vaccines is it's a controlled version of natural immunization to begin with. So those who wanted to choose to have the right to naturally immunize themselves through potentially contracting the COVID virus in their environment, they should have been allowed to have that opinion and the ability to do so without being threatened to lose their job. And as free people, what we should be able to take away from this example is that there were ramifications for taking a failed vaccine that now is seeing a result of people having side effects from said vaccine. And the last reason we should be fighting to be free speech absolutists and keep free speech intact is because The freedom of opinions and the ability to debate and denounce other people's point of views and opinions and pieces of information creates a strong competition, and we want to keep that competition respectful. But even in the tense debates, we can allow for people to present the best ideas, to present the best pieces of information, and the brightest ideas will inevitably win the day. Again, if information is true and good, that idea and piece of information will win the day. So regardless of your opinion, you shouldn't be scared of other people having a different opinion if the truth resides with that opinion that you hold. And the simple reality of wanting to restrict other people's opinions who may be false, well, you should just be able to disprove it with information and facts.